welcomes you to tonight's exploration of a profound and transformative practice. This is the same secret that Buddhist monks have cherished for centuries, one that quiets the mind and fosters a peace so deep it eludes many in their lifetime. Unlike secrets tucked away in ancient scriptures or remote monasteries, this practice is simple, accessible, and can be embraced right where you are with nothing more than your breath and your willingness to be present. Before we begin, take a moment to settle in, and if this space resonates with you, consider liking and subscribing. Only do so if it brings you peace. And if you feel inclined, share where you're joining from and the time so we can feel connected across the distances. Now make yourself comfortable. Adjust your pillow and allow your body to soften into the space beneath you. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale deeply, letting the air fill your lungs, and then exhale slowly, releasing the stress of the day. Feel the weight of your body as it gently sinks into relaxation. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and allow your focus to soften. What if I told you that this simple practice of focusing on your breath could lead you to a deep sense of peace, even amidst life's inevitable chaos? Imagine facing a situation that usually overwhelms you with stress. Now picture yourself breathing deeply, rooting yourself in the present moment. How might this moment feel different if you could respond from a place of calm rather than reaction? This, dear listener, is the essence of Buddhist practice. The key to inner peace isn't about running away from life's challenges. Rather, it's about nurturing a mind that remains unshaken no matter what arises. It's not about evading discomfort or denying emotions, but creating a space within where peace resides even when the world around you seems to spin out of control. Tonight, we'll dive into 10 Buddhist principles that can help you maintain your inner peace in any situation, no matter how overwhelming. These principles are simple but powerful. When fully embraced, they hold the potential to transform how you navigate life's fluctuations. Stick with us until the end and discover how these time-honored teachings can offer you lasting peace no matter what life brings. Let me share a story, a simple one, that will bring this powerful truth to life. Now dim the lights, perhaps light a candle or incense, and join me as we step into stillness together. There once lived a wise Zen monk named Hakuin, known far and wide for his deep meditation and serene presence. One day, a young man approached him, filled with frustration and confusion. "Master," he said, "I feel overwhelmed by everything. The world outside is so chaotic. Yourself, when we resist the natural flow of life. The more we struggle against what is, the more we create inner turmoil, making it harder to find the peace we seek. Instead, like the river, we can learn to accept each moment as it is without judgment, without resistance." Hakuin, in his wisdom, taught that peace lies not in escaping the challenges we face, but in meeting them with the same calmness and adaptability that the river shows. As the water flows past obstacles, it doesn't force its way through. It simply adjusts. It's this fluidity, this ability to let go of our expectations and control that is at the heart of Buddhist mindfulness. This practice of acceptance, of simply being present without reacting, can transform our experience of life's difficulties. Imagine for a moment that you are the river. When the storms of life come, whether in the form of an argument, an unexpected challenge, or moments of fear, you have a choice. You can resist, you can fight, or you can flow with the current, accepting each moment as it comes. The river doesn't cling to its past. It moves forward, flowing steadily, gently, even as the world around it changes. In this way, we learn that inner peace is not something to be found outside of us. It's a state of being that we cultivate within. Just as the river adapts and flows, we too can adapt to the ebb and flow of life, embracing each moment with patience, compassion, and mindfulness. Reflect now on your own life. Think of the times when you resisted the current, when you struggled against the flow. Did it bring you peace, or did it add to your suffering? By learning to meet life with an open heart like the river, we can experience a sense of peace that remains unshaken by external circumstances. Now, let's take a moment to pause. Close your eyes again and take a deep breath. Imagine yourself as that river flowing gracefully through life, undisturbed by the obstacles you encounter. Feel the peace that comes from acceptance and flowing with the current. And as you breathe, remind yourself that the key to peace lies not in the world around you, but in how you respond to it, just as the river responds to the rocks in its path. This practice of mindfulness that allows you to flow with life just as the river flows with the current. When you respond with awareness, you begin to recognize that your peace does not depend on the world around you. It resides within, anchored in your ability to choose how to respond to life's challenges. Take another deep breath now, and with each exhale, let go of any lingering tension. Visualize your mind as the river, once again smooth, steady, and flowing with ease, moving past the obstacles that come your way. See the rocks as the stresses and difficulties in life, each one temporary, passing through your awareness without disrupting your flow. This is the power of mindfulness, the ability to observe and let go, to remain unaffected no matter what life throws at you. As you reflect on this, consider a situation in your life where you've struggled with resistance. How did that resistance make you feel? Did it bring you peace or only more turmoil? Now imagine approaching that situation with the same calmness that the river demonstrates. Instead of fighting against the current, you would simply allow it to pass, letting go of your need to control it. This is the essence of Buddhist practice: to embrace life with open hands, to accept whatever comes, and to flow with it without resistance. Real peace comes when we stop fighting the flow and simply trust that we have the ability to navigate through life's challenges just as the river does. By practicing this mindfulness, you are cultivating a deep inner peace that cannot be disturbed by the external world. It's not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with a calm and steady mind. This is the foundation of Buddhist teachings, the wisdom of knowing that everything in life is temporary, that all things flow, and that peace is found not by controlling the world, but by mastering our responses to it. As we continue this journey together, take a moment to reflect on how you can apply this practice of mindfulness to your daily life. Whether it's taking a deep breath in a stressful conversation, or simply allowing yourself to observe your emotions without judgment. Every step you take toward embracing the flow of life brings you closer to a state of lasting peace. Like the river, you have the ability to flow smoothly through life, no matter the obstacles, and remain untouched by the turbulence around you. With each breath, remind yourself that peace is not something to be sought outside of you. It is something to be cultivated within by choosing how you respond to the world. The more you practice, the more natural this peace will become. And soon, Like the river, you'll find that it is your true nature. Responded with even more bitterness, "You mock me. You live in this filthy place, and you claim to be wise. You are nothing but a fraud." Ryoan remained calm, his expression serene, unaffected by the insults. He smiled gently and said, "I understand. You are upset, and your words come from that place of anger. I offer no defense, for you are speaking from your own suffering. If you wish, I will listen." The man, taken aback by the Zen master's peaceful demeanor, grew quiet. For a moment, he couldn't find the words. Eventually, he realized that his anger had no place to attach to. His own emotions had been mirrored back to him in Ryoan's calm presence, and in that stillness, he found no place for his hostility. The Zen master, seeing the man had calmed, simply said, "We are not what others say of us. We are what we choose to be in each moment. Let go of anger, and you will find peace." This story exemplifies the Buddhist principle that we are not defined by the words or actions of others. In every encounter, there lies the opportunity to remain anchored in peace, regardless of how others react to us. Just as the river does not react to the obstacles in its path, we too can choose not to react impulsively to the hurtful words or actions of others. By practicing mindfulness, we can remain unaffected, seeing such challenges as an opportunity for inner growth. When we react from a place of defensiveness or anger, we give away our peace. But when we choose to remain calm, to observe our feelings without judgment, we create the space for our emotional resilience to grow. This is where true strength lies, not in reacting, but in choosing how to respond with wisdom and compassion. Now think back to a time when you were confronted by harsh words or criticism. How did you respond? Did you allow the words to shape your emotional state, or did you choose to let them pass unaffected? The key to peace lies in this practice, choosing how to respond rather than reacting out of impulse. This is the essence of mindfulness, the ability to pause, to observe, and to choose wisely in the face of external challenges. As we continue on this journey, remember that every challenge, every difficult moment holds the potential for growth. Each moment of anger or insult is a chance to practice patience, to deepen our understanding of ourselves, and to cultivate a heart of compassion. Just as the river flows around the rocks, we can learn to move through life with grace, meeting each moment with an open heart and a peaceful mind. In this way, we transform life's obstacles from sources of stress into opportunities for spiritual growth. The more we practice this mindfulness, the more natural it becomes to stay rooted in peace no matter what arises. And with every breath, we continue to build this inner strength, learning to flow with life's currents instead of against them. Mindfulness, the ability to respond with equanimity, to remain calm and centered in the face of external challenges. By practicing this, you create space for peace to arise no matter what others may say or do. In that moment, as you breathe deeply and reflect, you begin to realize that the hurtful words or criticism are not the source of your suffering. Instead, it is your attachment to those words, your desire to defend or justify yourself, that creates the turmoil within. By choosing not to react, you reclaim your peace. You let the words flow around you like the river flowing past the rocks, unaffected, undisturbed. Now reflect again on that same situation, but this time, imagine yourself embodying the wisdom of Ryoan. How would it feel to acknowledge the insult, observe your emotions without judgment, and let the feelings pass like a gentle breeze. How different would it be if instead of defending yourself or holding on to the hurt, you allowed yourself to remain grounded in your inner peace? This is the practice of non-reactivity. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending that you don't feel hurt. It's about acknowledging the feelings that arise without letting them control you. You can observe your emotions, feel them fully, and then let them go. Just as Rion did, you have the power to choose your response. You can choose to stay calm, to remain unaffected by the words or actions of others, and to cultivate a deeper sense of understanding and compassion, both for yourself and for others. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you'll notice that these moments of challenge, whether it's criticism, judgment, or negative comments, become opportunities for growth. They become invitations to deepen your practice of equanimity, to refine your ability to stay rooted in peace no matter what arises in your life. With each breath, you learn to let go, to surrender your attachment to the need to defend or protect your ego, and to embrace the calm, centered presence that resides within you. This is the true strength of mindfulness, the strength to stay calm and steady even in the face of adversity. It's not a strength that comes from force or control, but from a deep inner peace that is unshaken by external circumstances. And with every practice, every mindful response, you build that inner strength until, like the river, you flow through life with ease, unaffected by the obstacles in your path, for his wisdom and mastery over his emotions. One day, a student approached him with a question. "Master," the student asked, "how do you remain so calm in the face of everything that happens around you? How do you stay at peace when others seem to be swept up by their emotions?" Chow Chow smiled and replied, "Imagine a storm. The winds are fierce, the rain comes pouring down, and the trees are shaking. But the river continues to flow, unaffected by the storm. It does not struggle against the wind, nor does it fight the rain. It simply flows, with it accepting the storm as part of the natural world." The student thought for a moment and asked, "But Master, how does the river remain calm? How does it not become overwhelmed by the storm?" Chow Chow answered, "The river does not cling to the storm. It does not try to stop it or resist it. It simply allows it to pass through, knowing that all things, including the storm, are impermanent. Just as the storm will eventually fade, so too will your emotions. The key is to observe without attachment, to let your emotions come and go like the storm passing over the river." The student nodded, understanding. Chow Chow continued, "Your emotions are like the storm. They will come and go, but they do not define you. By practicing mindfulness, you learn not to be swept away by them. You learn to stay rooted in your own peace, regardless of the storm around you." This story illustrates the power of mindfulness in managing our emotions. By observing our emotions without judgment or attachment, we allow them to pass without being controlled by them. The storm of anger, fear, or sadness can rage around us, but we can remain steady like the river by not clinging to these emotions or allowing them to dictate our actions. Now let's reflect on this in our own lives. Think of a time when you were overwhelmed by your emotions, perhaps when you felt anger rise within you, or when fear took hold of your heart. In that moment, did you cling to those emotions? Did you identify with them and let them control your actions? Or did you allow yourself to pause, observe, and let them pass like a passing storm? This is the practice of emotional freedom, allowing emotions to arise, acknowledging them, and then letting them go. When we stop resisting or identifying with our emotions, we create space for peace to take root within us. Just like the river, we learn to flow through life unaffected by the storm of emotions that might arise. With each mindful step, we become more resilient, more able to face life's challenges with calmness and understanding. Each moment of emotional turbulence is an opportunity to practice this awareness, to observe without attachment, and to respond with wisdom and compassion. As we move forward on this journey, remember that your emotions are not your enemies. They are a natural part of being human. But by practicing mindfulness, you can free yourself from the cycle of emotional attachment, allowing yourself to navigate life with greater ease and peace. Just as the river flows through the storm, so can you flow through life remaining grounded in the present moment, no matter what emotions arise. Awareness, allow yourself to step back and simply observe these emotions without judgment. See them for what they are, temporary waves passing through your consciousness. Like the wind on the surface of the pond, they come and go, and you are not defined by them. Imagine for a moment that you are the stillness of the pond itself. The emotions may stir the surface, but they do not disturb the depth beneath. You are not the storm, nor are you the surface of the pond. You are the quiet, steady presence that remains even as the winds blow. Now take another deep breath and let the emotions, whatever they may be, pass through you without attachment. You don't need to hold on to them, nor do you need to push them away. You simply observe them, allowing them to come and go with the natural flow. This is the practice of emotional mastery, recognizing that while emotions may arise, they do not have to control us. As you open your eyes, carry this awareness with you into your daily life. The next time you encounter a challenging situation when emotions start to rise, remember the stillness of the pond. Allow yourself to pause, to breathe, and to observe without getting caught in the storm. In doing so, you will find that you are not helpless in the face of your emotions. You can choose how to respond, and in doing so, you create space for peace and clarity. In the same way that the pond remains calm despite the wind, you can remain grounded in peace no matter the emotional turbulence around you. The practice of mindfulness allows us to find that stillness, to become aware of the emotions without identifying with them, and to live from a place of greater emotional freedom. This is your practice, to observe, to allow, and to respond with wisdom and compassion. The more you practice, the more natural it will become to stay centered, unaffected by the storms of life, just as the river flows steadily, unaffected by the obstacles in its path. With each mindful moment, you are cultivating emotional resilience, creating space for peace, and becoming more aware of your true nature, a stillness that can never be shaken by the winds of the world. This balance may seem difficult to achieve. We are often taught to strive for perfection, to hold ourselves to high standards, and to expect the same from others. Yet when we do not meet our own expectations, or when others fail to meet them, we can easily fall into judgment, frustration, or disappointment. In Buddhism, however, the path to personal growth is not only about reaching for high standards, but also about cultivating a compassionate heart, one that recognizes the imperfection in all beings. Consider the story of a Buddhist monk who, though living with great discipline and devotion, once witnessed a fellow monk struggle with a seemingly small task. Instead of feeling superior or frustrated, he saw the difficulty and understood the impermanence of all things, including his own perfection. With compassion, he offered a helping hand without judgment, recognizing that every person, no matter how advanced they seem, faces their own challenges. This story teaches us that holding high standards for ourselves is important, but it is equally important to offer grace to others when they stumble. Perfection is an ideal, but it is not a realistic expectation for every moment or person. Just as we accept our own shortcomings with compassion, we must do the same for those around us. By offering grace, we create an environment of growth and support, one where we can all learn from our mistakes without the burden of harsh judgment. Now think about a recent situation where you may have judged someone else, whether it was a friend, a colleague, or a family member. Perhaps they didn't meet your expectations and you felt disappointment or frustration. How did that judgment affect you? Did it bring peace, or did it disrupt your inner calm? Now imagine responding with understanding instead. Instead of reacting from a place of judgment, you choose to meet them with compassion, recognizing that just like you, they are learning and growing. Let's take a moment now to practice this shift in perspective. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. With each inhale, bring a sense of calm and openness to your heart. With each exhale, release any judgment or frustration you may be holding on to. Reflect on a time when you judged someone or when you held them to an impossibly high standard. Without judgment, simply observe that moment and let it go. See it for what it is, a temporary feeling, just like the emotions we've learned to observe and release. Now imagine meeting that person with the same grace you would offer yourself. See them as a fellow traveler on the path facing their own struggles, and offer understanding instead of judgment. In doing so, you are cultivating not only peace within yourself, but also compassion and harmony in your relationships. This practice of holding high standards while offering grace is essential in maintaining your inner peace. It allows you to pursue excellence without the burden of harsh self-criticism or the frustration of unmet expectations. You learn to embrace imperfection both in yourself and others, and this acceptance fosters growth, understanding, and deeper connections with the world around you. As we continue on this journey, remember that true peace comes not from perfection, but from compassion and understanding. Striving for excellence is important, but it is equally important to show kindness to yourself and others when imperfections arise. This is the balance that Buddhist teachings offer us, to hold ourselves to high standards, but to also hold others with the same grace and understanding, recognizing that we are all on this path together, learning and growing with each step, excellence, while maintaining compassion for ourselves and others. The first part of this teaching, striving for personal excellence, reminds us that growth is a continuous process. It's about consistently improving, pushing ourselves to do better, and living with purpose. However, it's important to recognize that this doesn't mean expecting perfection from ourselves. It means dedicating ourselves to the path of growth without the burden of self-judgment or the need to achieve perfection every time. Now, consider a time when you set a high standard for yourself, perhaps in your work, in a relationship, or in a personal goal. What was your response when you didn't meet that standard? Did you criticize yourself harshly? Or did you acknowledge your efforts and commit to doing better next time? Striving for excellence is not about avoiding failure, but about learning from it and continuing to move forward with determination and grace. The second part of this teaching Extending grace to others and to ourselves reminds us that perfection is not an expectation to hold over others, nor is it something to demand of ourselves. We are all human, and we all make mistakes. Offering grace means understanding that imperfections are part of the process and that everyone deserves kindness, especially in their moments of failure or struggle. Reflect on a time when someone else didn't meet your expectations. How did you respond? Did you offer understanding, or did frustration and judgment take hold? Now think about how you would respond differently if you held the understanding that both you and others are on a journey of growth, and that offering grace can create the space for both you and them to grow without the burden of harsh judgment. Let's practice this now. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Bring to mind a recent situation where you held someone, perhaps yourself or someone else, to a high standard. Reflect on your response. Did you respond with kindness, understanding, and grace? If not, gently observe the feelings that arose without judgment and acknowledge that it's okay to falter. Now imagine responding with compassion, offering grace instead of frustration, patience instead of impatience. Feel the difference in your heart as you embrace both the pursuit of excellence and the gift of grace. As we continue on this journey, remember that true excellence is not about being perfect. It's about living with integrity, striving to improve, and offering grace to ourselves and others when we fall short. By balancing our drive for personal growth with compassion, we create a peaceful path toward success. We learn to approach life with a heart full of understanding and a mind focused on growth, free from the burden of unrealistic expectations. This is the path to peace, where excellence and grace coexist harmoniously. With each step, we grow in wisdom, in patience, and in compassion, both for ourselves and for others. And as we continue to strive for excellence, we remember that the beauty of this journey is not in the perfection of our actions, but in how we live with integrity, kindness, and grace those around you. It's a way of living that acknowledges that we are all imperfect, and that growth is a process, not a destination. When we demand excellence from ourselves, we keep pushing ourselves to improve, to reach for higher standards, and to develop our skills and wisdom. But when we offer grace to others, we acknowledge their struggles, their imperfections, and their humanity. This balance enables us to continue on the path of growth without the burden of judgment or frustration. As you reflect on these two practices, consider how they show up in your daily life. When you strive for excellence, are you kind to yourself when things don't go as planned? Do you allow yourself to learn from mistakes without beating yourself up? Similarly, when others fall short of your expectations, do you offer them the same grace and compassion that you would offer yourself? Think about a recent situation where someone you care about didn't meet your expectations. How did you react? Were you frustrated or disappointed? Or were you able to step back, understand that they are human and that their path is different from yours, and respond with patience and compassion? Remember, offering grace doesn't mean excusing poor behavior, but it does mean acknowledging that we all have room for growth, and we all need understanding along the way. Now take a moment to reflect on your own personal goals. What is it in your life that you are striving to improve? How can you approach your journey with both the intention of excellence and the acceptance of imperfection? Striving for excellence doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency, effort, and the willingness to learn from each step, no matter how small. As you pursue your goals, remember that growth happens over time, and every mistake or setback is simply a part of that process. Likewise, extend the same grace to others. Recognize that everyone is on their own path, facing their own struggles and challenges. Instead of focusing on their failures or shortcomings, focus on supporting them through their journey with kindness and compassion. In doing so, you create an environment that encourages growth and healing, both for yourself and for those around you. By integrating the practice of demanding excellence from yourself while offering grace to others, you cultivate a sense of peace and balance. You learn to strive for your best without attaching yourself to outcomes, and you create a space for others to grow without the weight of your expectations. This balance brings harmony to your life and relationships, allowing you to continue your personal growth journey with clarity, compassion, and peace. As we move forward, carry this understanding with you. The pursuit of excellence and the offering of grace are not opposing forces, but complementary ones. They work together to create a life filled with growth, compassion, and a deep sense of inner peace. Through these practices, you can continue to evolve not only as a person, but also as a compassionate, understanding presence in the lives of those around you, of how every interaction can be a source of wisdom. He said, "Imagine a person who is walking along a path distracted by their own thoughts. They walk past a flower, but they do not see it. They are so consumed by their own internal world that they miss the beauty of the flower that is right in front of them." Now imagine another person who is fully present, who sees the flower as it is without distraction, without expectation. This person, through their presence, receives the gift of that moment, the wisdom of seeing clearly without the filters of their mind. The Buddha paused and then said, "Wisdom is like that flower. It is always present, but it can only be seen when we are truly here in the moment, without the noise of our thoughts clouding our vision." The key to cultivating wisdom is to be fully present with the people around you, to listen with an open heart, and to approach every interaction with mindfulness. Subhuti, understanding the Buddha's words, nodded. "But Master," he asked, "what about the distractions of the world? How do we find wisdom in the chaos of everyday life?" The Buddha smiled and replied, "Wisdom is not something you find outside yourself. It is something you cultivate within. The world may be full of distractions, but the practice of mindfulness allows you to see beyond them. When you listen deeply and approach each moment with a clear mind and open heart, you will find that wisdom is always available to you, no matter the circumstances." This story, from the life of the Buddha, beautifully illustrates the power of mindful interaction. When we approach every conversation, every interaction, with the intention to be present, to listen deeply, and to engage without judgment, we open ourselves to the wisdom that exists in each moment. The people we meet, whether they are familiar or strangers, become our teachers, offering us opportunities to learn, grow, and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Now think about the last conversation you had. Were you fully present? Did you listen deeply, without distraction or judgment? Or were you focused on your own thoughts, your own responses, and the next thing you wanted to say? The next time you find yourself in a conversation, try to practice mindful listening. Focus on the other person, truly hear what they are saying, and observe your own thoughts and reactions without judgment. See how this practice shifts the dynamic of the conversation, and how it deepens your connection to the other person. As we continue this journey, remember that every interaction is an opportunity to learn. Whether it's a difficult conversation or a moment of shared laughter, each experience has something to teach us. By practicing mindful communication, both speaking with kindness and listening with an open heart, we create the space for wisdom, understanding, and compassion to arise. Through this practice, we can transform every interaction into a valuable lesson, deepening our understanding of ourselves and others, and bringing us closer to the peaceful presence that the Buddha taught. With every conversation, every encounter, let us continue to walk the path of mindfulness, recognizing that each moment is a chance to grow, to learn, and to cultivate a deeper sense of connection and wisdom and understanding. By listening mindfully, we begin to see the other person more clearly, not through the filter of our own judgments or preconceptions, but through the lens of compassion and openness. This shift in perspective allows us to engage in more authentic, meaningful connections. As you reflect on your own conversations, consider the times when you've been fully present with someone. How did that affect the flow of the conversation? Were you able to connect more deeply, to understand them better? Conversely, think of times when you weren't truly listening, when your mind was preoccupied or distracted. How did that impact the relationship or the conversation? Often, when we're not fully engaged, we miss the underlying emotions, the deeper meaning, and the opportunity for real connection. Mindful listening is not just about hearing words. It's about understanding the person behind those words. It's about observing their body language, noticing the emotions behind their speech, and sensing the energy they are sharing. When we listen deeply, we begin to recognize the common thread that connects all of us, the shared experiences of pain, joy, confusion, and growth that make us human. This practice of listening with an open heart and mind also extends to listening to ourselves. How often do we listen to our own thoughts and feelings with the same mindfulness? Are we aware of the emotions and judgments that arise within us? Or do we simply react to them? The more we practice mindful listening to others, the more we can begin to listen to ourselves with the same compassion, recognizing the stories we tell ourselves and allowing space for growth and understanding. As we move forward in our journey, let's remember that every conversation, no matter how simple or complex, is an opportunity for learning. Whether we're speaking with a close friend or a stranger, whether the conversation is calm or filled with tension, we have the opportunity to learn from it. We can choose to engage with openness, to listen without judgment, and to offer our presence as a gift to others. Mindful communication, both in listening and speaking, is a powerful tool for deepening our relationships and understanding. It allows us to connect on a level that goes beyond words, to truly see and hear the other person as they are. And through this process, we grow not only in our understanding of others, but in our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So as you continue on this path, remember that every conversation holds the potential for wisdom. Approach each interaction with presence, with the intention to listen deeply and with an open heart. You may find that the more you listen, the more you learn, not just about others, but about your own capacity for compassion, patience, and understanding. This is the essence of mindful communication, seeing the world and the people around us with clarity and embracing every moment as an opportunity to learn and grow. Lies. The past cannot control you, unless you allow it. In the present moment, you have the power to choose how you respond, how you act, and how you feel. Anguli, Mala, deeply moved by the Buddha's words, asked, "But how can I free myself from the weight of my past, from the violence and regret that haunt me?" The Buddha, with great compassion, replied, "Recognize that the emotions tied to your past are impermanent. Just as the clouds come and go, so too do your feelings. You may feel regret or sorrow for your past actions, but those emotions do not define you. In each moment, you have the opportunity to let go, to embrace the present, and to choose a new path." Angulimala's heart began to soften as he realized the profound truth in the Buddha's words. He understood that his feelings of guilt and shame, though powerful, were not permanent. By recognizing the impermanence of his emotions, he could release his attachment to them and begin anew. This story illustrates the teaching of impermanence and the power we have to transform our emotions. Just like Angulimala, we may find ourselves holding on to past regrets or negative emotions, but by understanding their impermanent nature, we can begin to let go of their grip on us. Emotions, however intense they may be, are not permanent states. They arise, they pass, and they are not who we truly are. Now think about a recent emotional experience you had. Was it a moment of anger, sadness, or fear? How long did that feeling last? Did you find yourself holding on to it, allowing it to shape your actions or thoughts? Or did you recognize that, like all things, it would eventually pass? The next time you experience a strong emotion, remember that it is temporary. It is not a permanent part of you, but a wave that is passing through. Take a moment now to reflect on the impermanence of your emotions. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. As you breathe in, allow yourself to become aware of any emotions you may be carrying. Feel them fully, but without attachment. Recognize that just as the air you breathe flows in and out, so too will your emotions. Observe them without judgment and know that they will pass. As we continue our journey, remember that the key to emotional resilience lies in understanding impermanence. By recognizing that emotions, like all things, are fleeting, we can release our attachment to them and cultivate peace within ourselves. This awareness frees us from the suffering caused by clinging to emotions and allows us to respond with greater wisdom and compassion. Through this practice, we learn that we are not defined by our emotions. We are the observers, the ones who choose how to respond. Just as the waves on the ocean rise and fall, so too do our emotions, temporary and ever-changing. By understanding this truth, we can remain steady, anchored in the present, and free from the emotional turbulence that might otherwise pull us under. Let us continue this path of growth, learning to embrace the impermanence of our feelings and to find lasting peace in the present moment. Turmoil. Just as the river flows smoothly past rocks and obstacles, we too can move through life without being stuck in the grip of our emotions. By understanding that our feelings are like clouds, temporary and ever-changing, we free ourselves from the cycle of attachment and suffering that arises when we identify too strongly with them. In Buddhism, we are taught to observe our emotions without judgment, to recognize them for what they are, passing experiences, and to let them flow through us without clinging to them. This practice doesn't mean suppressing or denying our feelings. Rather, it means feeling them, fully acknowledging their presence, and then allowing them to move on naturally. In this way, we develop emotional resilience, learning to face difficult emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Let's practice this awareness now. Take a moment to recall a time recently when you felt overwhelmed by emotion, whether it was anger, sadness, or frustration. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. As you inhale, acknowledge the emotion you felt without judgment. As you exhale, release any attachment to it. See the emotion as a passing cloud, recognizing that it does not define you. With each breath, allow it to pass through you, just as clouds drift across the sky and fade into the horizon. Now imagine that this emotion, whatever it may have been, is no longer present. You are free from it. Feel the space within you where peace can settle. This is the space created by recognizing the impermanence of your feelings. When you let go of your attachment to emotions, you create room for peace, clarity, and compassion to take root. As we continue to practice this understanding of impermanence, we will find that our emotional responses become less overwhelming. We learn to respond to our emotions with calm and wisdom rather than reacting out of habit or attachment. We can experience the full range of emotions without being controlled by them, and in doing so, we cultivate a deeper sense of peace and emotional resilience. Remember, the key to emotional freedom is recognizing that emotions, like all things in life, are impermanent. When we stop resisting them, when we allow them to pass without clinging to them, we open ourselves to a more peaceful and balanced way of being. By practicing this awareness, we can find the stillness within even in the midst of emotional storms and move through life with greater ease and clarity. Remain so unaffected by his words and actions. "Any skirt ganz fine, fi." Lingi smiled and replied, "When someone insults you, they are revealing more about themselves than about you. His anger, his words, his actions are temporary, just like a storm that blows through and soon fades away. I do not let his emotions take root in me. I acknowledge them, but I do not identify with them. Just as the sky remains clear, even when clouds pass through, I remain unshaken by his words." The disciple, still in awe, asked, "But Master, how can we practice this kind of invincibility in our own lives?" Lingi responded, "By understanding that everything, including emotions, is impermanent. Emotions, thoughts, and situations come and go, but the true self remains untouched by them. To be emotionally invincible, you must recognize that you are not your emotions or the events that occur around you. You are the observer, the stillness beneath the waves of experience." This story beautifully illustrates the power of emotional invincibility in the Buddhist tradition. It does not mean suppressing feelings or becoming indifferent. Instead, it's about recognizing that external circumstances, whether praise or insult, are transient and they do not define us. By practicing detachment, we gain the ability to remain steady, calm, and compassionate regardless of the storms that may swirl around us. Now think about a time when you were faced with an emotional challenge, perhaps an insult, a difficult situation, or an unexpected setback. How did you react? Did you allow the external circumstance to control your emotions? Or were you able to detach from it and respond with calmness and clarity? Reflect on how it might have felt to respond in a way that maintained your inner peace, just as Lingi did. As you practice mindfulness and emotional mastery, you'll begin to notice the moments when external circumstances try to pull you away from your center. Whether it's a stressful conversation, a frustrating situation, or a challenging relationship, these moments can be opportunities to practice detachment. By recognizing that all things are temporary, you can allow yourself to remain grounded no matter what arises. Take a moment now to practice this awareness. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Think of a situation in your life where you felt emotionally disturbed or upset by something external. As you breathe in, recognize the emotions that arose. As you breathe out, release your attachment to them. Imagine yourself like the sky, clear and unaffected by the clouds passing through. Let the emotion move through you, knowing it will pass just as everything else does. Through this practice, you cultivate emotional invincibility, not by denying your feelings, but by recognizing that you do not need to be controlled by them. You create the space to respond with wisdom, compassion, and clarity, no matter what life presents. By detaching from external circumstances, you protect your peace and maintain your inner strength, regardless of the challenges you face. As we continue on this journey of growth, remember that emotional invincibility comes from recognizing the impermanence of all things, our emotions, the events in our lives, and the circumstances we encounter. By embracing this understanding, we can become steadfast in the face of life's storms, unshaken by the passing winds, and grounded in the peace that resides within us. Practice emotional invincibility. They are chances for you to remain grounded, to detach from the initial impulse to react, and to choose how to respond with wisdom and calmness. These moments, while challenging, offer the greatest opportunity for growth. Now think of a time when you felt a strong emotional reaction. Maybe it was anger, fear, or frustration. How did it feel in your body? How did it affect your thoughts and actions? By practicing emotional invincibility, we learn to pause in those moments, to create space between the trigger and the reaction. Instead of being swept away by the emotion, we stand firm, allowing the feeling to pass through us, just like the wind passing through the trees. We observe it, acknowledge it, and then let it go, without allowing it to control our next step. As you reflect on your own emotional triggers, ask yourself, how often do you feel like a victim of your emotions? How often do you allow external events or the behavior of others to disturb your peace? These moments of emotional intensity are not to be feared, but embraced as opportunities to practice resilience and mindfulness. In these moments, we can choose to remain steady and composed like Lingi, who remained unaffected by the insults of the stranger. Let's practice this now. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Recall a time when you were triggered by someone else's actions or words. As you breathe in, feel the emotions rise. As you breathe out, let go of any attachment to those emotions. Visualize yourself standing strong like a tree, with deep roots unshaken by the winds that try to blow you over. Let the emotion come, feel it, and let it go, without letting it define your response or your peace. This practice of emotional invincibility builds our inner strength, allowing us to move through life with more clarity and peace, no matter what happens around us. It's not about being emotionless or detached. It's about being present with our emotions, without being ruled by them. By recognizing their impermanence, we can cultivate the strength to remain calm and centered, no matter how turbulent the world around us becomes. As we continue on this journey, remember that true strength is not about avoiding emotions or challenges. It's about learning to respond with mindfulness and calmness. With each practice of emotional invincibility, we become more resilient, more grounded, and more capable of facing life's challenges with clarity and peace. And with every breath, we build our capacity to remain steadfast no matter the storm that may come. Truth in his request. She had been searching for something that did not exist. She had been resisting the reality of death, unable to accept the impermanence of life. The Buddha, with his gentle wisdom, helped her realize that suffering comes when we cling to expectations and refuse to accept the natural flow of life. Kisa Gotami, deeply moved, understood that death, like all things in life, is part of the natural cycle. She had been so overwhelmed by her grief that she could not see the bigger picture, that death is a universal experience, one that connects all beings. By accepting this truth, she could find peace in her sorrow, release the struggle, and begin to heal. This story illustrates the power of acceptance in transforming our suffering. Kisa Gotami's grief, though profound, was rooted in her resistance to the reality of death. Once she understood that death was a part of life, she was able to let go of her desperate search for a way to make things right and embrace the truth of her situation. This acceptance didn't mean she stopped grieving. It meant she stopped resisting the natural flow of life, which allowed her to move toward healing and peace. In our own lives, we often experience resistance to the way things are. We fight against situations we don't like, wishing for things to be different or for the pain to go away. This resistance creates unnecessary suffering, keeping us trapped in a cycle of frustration and unhappiness. But when we practice acceptance, we let go of the struggle. We allow ourselves to be with what is without the need to change it or escape from it. Think about a situation in your life where you are resisting reality. Perhaps it's something in your relationships, your work, or your personal journey. How does that resistance affect you? Does it create tension, frustration, or anxiety? Now think about how it might feel to embrace the situation as it is, to accept it without judgment, and to release the need for things to be different. This practice of acceptance does not mean we stop striving for improvement, but it means we let go of the expectation that life should always align with our desires. Let's practice this now. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Bring to mind a situation where you feel resistance. It could be something that is causing you stress or frustration. As you breathe in, acknowledge your feelings. As you breathe out, let go of any need to change the situation or to fight against it. Simply accept it as it is, knowing that this moment is temporary and that, like everything else, it will pass. Let go of the burden of wanting things to be different and embrace the peace that comes from accepting what is. This practice of acceptance opens the door to emotional resilience. It allows us to navigate life's challenges with a sense of ease, knowing that we are not fighting against reality, but flowing with it. When we stop resisting, we free ourselves from the anxiety and tension that arise from clinging to expectations. We can face difficulties with a calm and centered mind, knowing that, like all things, this too shall pass. As we continue this journey, remember that acceptance is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to suffering. It is about embracing life as it is, acknowledging its impermanence and finding peace in the present moment. By practicing acceptance, we cultivate emotional strength, resilience, and a deep sense of peace that comes from letting go of resistance and embracing what is. Life, we stop clinging to the past and start embracing the flow of the present moment. Change is inevitable, and by accepting it, we can flow with life's natural rhythms rather than against them. In Buddhist teachings, we are encouraged to understand that attachment to things, people, and situations causes suffering. When we resist change, we become attached to an ideal version of how things should be. This attachment can create mental and emotional tension, making it harder for us to find peace. But when we accept things as they are, we stop fighting reality and allow ourselves to be at peace with the present moment. This acceptance is not about giving up on life or being passive. It's about recognizing and honoring the flow of life as it unfolds. Reflect for a moment on a change that has occurred in your life, whether it was a planned change, like a career move, or something unexpected, like a loss or change in your relationship. How did you respond? Did you resist the change, wishing it were different? Or did you accept it, allowing yourself to adjust with grace? The more we practice acceptance in these moments of change, the easier it becomes to navigate life with peace and ease. Now let's take a moment to practice embracing change and acceptance in our lives. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and reflect on a change you are currently facing, whether big or small. As you breathe in, acknowledge the emotions associated with this change. As you breathe out, let go of any resistance to it. Allow the change to be as it is without judgment or expectation. Visualize yourself letting go of the attachment to how things should be, and instead open your heart to how things are. Acceptance is about freeing ourselves from the struggle and the suffering that comes with resistance. It doesn't mean we stop striving for better or that we stop setting goals. It simply means we stop fighting against the flow of life. By accepting the impermanence of everything, we can find peace and serenity no matter what changes arise. As we continue on this journey, remember that the path to peace is not about avoiding discomfort, but about accepting the discomfort as part of the natural cycle of life. By practicing acceptance, we release the need to control the uncontrollable and create space for healing growth and peace. With every breath, we cultivate the ability to meet life's challenges with open arms, knowing that the only constant is change, and in that change, we find our freedom, possessions, and loved ones over the years. But none of those losses have hurt me as much as losing my child. The Buddha nodded gently and continued, "Yes, you are right. The loss of a loved one can bring deep pain. But what if I told you that the suffering you feel is not just about the loss of your child, but also about your attachment to him? You see, life is full of impermanence, and everything, people, possessions, experiences, is temporary. The more we attach ourselves to these things, the more we suffer when they inevitably change or leave us." The man listened intently, and the Buddha explained, "Detachment does not mean not loving or caring. It means understanding that nothing is permanent. When we attach ourselves too strongly to something or someone, we set ourselves up for suffering because we begin to believe that our happiness depends on it. True freedom comes when we can love and care deeply, but not cling to the belief that our happiness depends on anything external." The man, realizing the depth of the Buddha's wisdom, sat in silence for a while. Slowly, he began to understand that his pain was not just from the loss itself, but from his attachment to the idea that his happiness was bound to his child. By releasing this attachment, he could open his heart to healing, allowing the grief to come and go without clinging to it or letting it define him. This story illustrates the power of detachment. It is not about withholding love or withdrawing from life. It is about engaging with life fully, but without being overly attached to any particular outcome. When we detach from the need to control or hold on to specific outcomes, we free ourselves from the fear of loss and the suffering it brings. Detachment allows us to experience life deeply and meaningfully without letting it control us. Now think about areas of your life where you may be overly attached perhaps to a relationship, a possession, a job, or an outcome. Ask yourself, how much of my peace and happiness depend on this thing or person? What would it feel like to let go of the need to control the outcome, to simply enjoy the experience without attachment? Let's practice this awareness now. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Bring to mind something you are currently attached to, whether it's a person, a goal, or a material possession. Notice the feelings that arise when you think about losing it or not having it. Now, as you breathe in, gently remind yourself that everything in life is impermanent, including this attachment. As you breathe out, let go of the need to control or hold on to it. Imagine yourself free from the fear of loss, open to whatever comes your way. This practice of detachment doesn't mean we stop caring or engaging with the world. It simply means that we stop letting our happiness depend on external circumstances. By practicing detachment, we create space for peace, knowing that we are not defined by what we have or what we lose. We can experience life fully and with joy without being controlled by the fear of losing anything. As we continue on our journey, remember that detachment is a tool for emotional freedom. By letting go of our attachment to outcomes, people, and possessions, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by clinging. This practice allows us to experience life more fully without the weight of attachment and to move through the world with greater peace, resilience, and joy. More at peace you will become. You will find that your happiness is no longer dependent on external circumstances or results. Instead, it will come from within, from your ability to be present with life, as it is embracing both the joys and challenges without fear of losing what you hold dear. Take a moment now to reflect on the areas where you might be holding on too tightly. Perhaps there is something in your life that you feel is essential for your happiness, whether it's a relationship, a career goal, a material possession, or even your own health. How does this attachment shape your feelings and experiences? Does it lead to anxiety, frustration, or disappointment when things don't go as planned? As you breathe deeply, let go of the need to control or hold on to these attachments. Visualize yourself releasing the grip you have on them. Let go, not because you no longer care, but because you recognize that true peace comes from accepting impermanence and learning to flow with life's natural rhythms. Now picture yourself approaching life with a lighter heart, free from the burden of attachment. Visualize facing challenges with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that whatever happens, you will be okay. You will still love, work hard, and pursue your goals, but you will no longer be controlled by the fear of loss or the desire for specific outcomes. In this freedom, you will find peace, and you will experience life with a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment. The more you practice detachment, the more you will be able to live fully and authentically free from the emotional weight of attachment. Detachment does not mean withdrawing from life or becoming indifferent. It means engaging with life fully without being enslaved by the desire for things to remain the same. When you detach from outcomes, you allow life to unfold naturally, trusting that whatever comes your way, you have the inner strength to handle it with grace. As we continue on our journey, remember that detachment is a key practice in finding peace. By releasing our attachment to outcomes, people, and possessions, we free ourselves from the suffering that arises from clinging to the impermanent. Let go and embrace the freedom and serenity that come from trusting life's flow, knowing that true peace lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Suffering, but let me show you a way to transform your perspective. Gratitude, even in the face of hardship, can open your heart to peace. You see, no matter how difficult life may seem, there is always something to be grateful for, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. The Buddha continued, "Go into the village and ask for a handful of mustard seeds. But here is the condition. The mustard seeds must come from a household where no one has died. Bring them to me when you find such a household." The farmer, hopeful that this would bring him the relief he sought, went from house to house asking for mustard seeds. However, at every home, the answer was the same: "I am sorry, but we have lost someone in our family." As the day wore on, the farmer realized that no household was untouched by death. Every family had experienced loss. Returning to the Buddha, the farmer now understood. "Master, I have learned something important. No family is free from suffering, and yet every household has something to be grateful for. I too can find gratitude not by focusing on my losses, but by recognizing that suffering is a shared part of life. Even in my grief, I can find peace in the simple act of living." The Buddha smiled and said, "Gratitude is not just for moments of joy, but also for moments of sorrow. It is through the recognition of impermanence that we learn to appreciate the fleeting beauty of life. By accepting the reality of loss and focusing on what remains, you can shift your heart toward gratitude." This story beautifully illustrates how gratitude can transform our perspective even in the most difficult circumstances. The farmer's grief was real, but by focusing on the universal nature of suffering and the preciousness of life, he was able to shift his perspective and find peace. In our own lives, we can practice gratitude by shifting our focus from what we lack or what has been lost to what remains, no matter how small it may seem. Gratitude helps us appreciate the present moment, fostering a sense of abundance instead of scarcity. Take a moment now to reflect on your own life. Is there something you are focusing on that brings you a sense of lack or dissatisfaction? Perhaps it's a difficult situation, a lost opportunity, or an unmet desire. Now gently shift your focus to what remains, what you have in this moment. It might be something simple, like a roof over your head, a kind word from a friend, or the beauty of nature around you. As you breathe deeply, allow gratitude to fill your heart. Imagine the abundance of life surrounding you, from the small blessings to the larger ones, and feel the shift in your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Gratitude opens the door to peace, helping us navigate even the hardest times with a sense of fulfillment and joy. In the next few days, try to bring gratitude into your daily life. Notice the small things, the warmth of the sun, a smile from a stranger, or even the food on your table. By focusing on what you have instead of what is missing, you can create a deeper sense of peace and contentment. Gratitude doesn't erase suffering, but it does shift our focus and helps us find peace even in the midst of it. By practicing gratitude, we open our hearts to the abundance that already exists in our lives, and we cultivate a sense of fulfillment that comes from within, not from external circumstances. As we continue on this journey, remember that the practice of gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for transforming our mindset and our lives. It allows us to see the beauty in every moment, to embrace the present, and to find peace in whatever comes our way. Abundant, allowing us to experience greater joy and peace in every moment. When we practice gratitude, we begin to see the richness in our lives even in the simplest of things. It opens our hearts, helping us to connect more deeply with the world around us and to cultivate a sense of fulfillment that comes not from external circumstances, but from our internal perspective. As we reflect on the farmer's journey, we can see that his suffering was not alleviated by the circumstances around him, but by his ability to shift his focus. By practicing gratitude, he was able to find peace amidst his hardship, recognizing the gifts that life still offered him. He didn't need to have everything he wanted in order to feel grateful. He just needed to acknowledge what was already present, no matter how small. In our own lives, we can adopt this same mindset. By choosing to focus on the blessings that exist right now, we can transform our experience of life. Even in the face of challenges or loss, gratitude allows us to see beyond our struggles and to find strength in what we have. Whether it's the people who care about us, the simple pleasures of life, or the fact that we have the ability to change and grow, there is always something to be grateful for. Let's practice this now. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to relax into the present moment. Think of one thing, no matter how small, that you are truly grateful for. It could be a person, an experience, or a simple aspect of your life that brings you peace or joy. Allow yourself to feel the warmth of gratitude in your heart as you reflect on this blessing. Notice how this feeling of gratitude affects your body. Do you feel lighter, more at peace, or more centered? This is the power of gratitude. It shifts our energy, making us more open to the goodness that exists in our lives. When we carry gratitude with us, it transforms the way we see the world and the way we interact with others. Now imagine carrying this sense of gratitude throughout your day. How would your perspective change if you focused on the blessings in your life instead of what's missing? How would your interactions with others be affected if you approach them with appreciation in your heart? Gratitude has the power to change not only how we feel, but also how we relate to others and to the world around us. As we continue on this journey of growth, remember that gratitude is a practice, one that we can carry with us every day. It is not about waiting for the perfect circumstances to feel grateful. It's about choosing to see the beauty and abundance in each moment, no matter what life presents. By practicing gratitude, we open ourselves to deeper peace, greater connection, and a more joyful experience of life, creating a life of peace and emotional invincibility. As you continue to apply these teachings, remember that true peace comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from learning how to face them with mindfulness, grace, and emotional resilience. The more you embrace mindfulness, detachment, acceptance, and gratitude, the more you will cultivate a sense of inner calm that remains unshaken by the challenges life brings. Each moment you practice mindfulness and emotional resilience, you are building a stronger foundation for peace. Each act of gratitude deepens your connection to yourself and the world around you. And each time you respond to life's ups and downs with compassion, you contribute to the growth of your own emotional invincibility. As we move forward, remember that the path to peace is a continuous journey, not a destination. It is a practice, a way of being in the world that requires intention and commitment. The more you commit to practicing these principles, the more naturally they will become a part of your life, helping you to navigate every challenge with clarity, compassion, and calmness. Thank you for walking this path of growth, transformation, and peace. May you continue to find joy, wisdom, and compassion in every moment. And may your practice of mindfulness and gratitude bring you the strength and peace you seek. Keep breathing deeply. Keep staying present, and continue to open your heart to the endless possibilities of growth and peace that each day brings. May you walk forward with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that you have the tools to create a life of serenity and emotional invincibility. And as you continue on this journey, remember that the stillness within you is your true strength. It is always there, waiting for you to return to it, no matter what life brings your way. The more you connect with this inner peace, the more resilient and centered you will become. May you find comfort in that stillness, knowing it will guide you through any storm. Sweet dreams, and may you wake up refreshed with a heart full of peace, gratitude, and clarity.